So here's a deal I want to break down. This is a deal that I found on the MLS actually. So I had some extra time and was like, man, I got to try to find some ways that I can get another deal. So I go on the MLS and let's go to the history. So I was looking for properties for sale in Fort Pierce, Florida. So let's go to the old listing from when I bought it. So I find this duplex. And originally the list price was for 150,000. And I noticed it just did a price change. So I'm like, man, how long has it been on the market? This property is on the market for almost 400 days, which is crazy. So I call the agent. I go through the pictures. I'm like, man, this place needs work. It's in a kind of a rough part of town. Obviously, looking at the pictures, the property needs love. Like, just look at it. And the older windows got junk everywhere. Windows are ruined. There's stuff all over the backyard. Like, it's this property just needs a lot of work. So one of the units is not even occupied. It's yeah. So I saw this and I'm like, man, I gotta call this agent. So I call the agent. I'm like, hey, so I noticed this property's been listed for a long time. What's the situation? And the agent was super nice and she was super helpful. She's like, yeah, they were dying to get a certain price. And then I looked at the history even further, and in their old listing, they were listed at one point. Let's see if I could find it. They were listed for almost $250,000. And I was like, oh geez. So they were pie in the sky trying to get just a crazy number for this property. So yeah, so if you see, it's 977 square feet total. So each unit's just under 500 square feet. So it's one bed, one bath unit. So I said, okay, well, I told her what I do. I'm like, look, I buy properties, I fix them up and sell them, I wholesale. And she's like, well, on this one, you can't wholesale it. You would need to buy it. My clients have made it very clear that they don't want anybody trying to take down a contract. They want whoever's going to go under contract to buy it. So you see, okay, the original list price was $230,000. So now they've dropped it to 150. So I go and look at the numbers and I call her back and I said, look, I'd love to buy this place, but I'm going to have to buy this thing for, I told her like around $120,000. Well, originally said $127,000. Like I can buy this thing for $127,000. She's like, I'll write it up. Because I said, look, and if we do a deal, I'll have you represent me. I didn't have an agent on it. Um, I found this deal myself. And so she wrote the offer for me for $127,000. And man, I didn't think it would happen, but the sellers took it. They're just like, hey, we got to get rid of this property. We got to be done with this. It's been a headache. The tenant's been a pain. So yes, they said, okay, they'll take my offer. So went under contract for $127,000. So and to reverse engineer, like, look, I made sure I had a game plan. So I had met with a contractor. His name's Steve Giordano. Great guy. And he's actually a buyer for one of some lots that I was trying to sell a year ago to him. And we kept in touch. And I said, hey man, I came across this property. I want to flip it. Can you do the job for me? So he went over and did a bid for me. So we're under contract for 127,000. He went and walked the property. He said, hey Devin, looks like a great property. It's got good bones. Like, mind you, this thing was built in 1949. Done here, 1949. It's concrete. The walls are like 2 feet thick, like, and the roof's in good shape. So it's good bones. So he came back with a bid for me at $28,000. And what I liked about Steve, he said, hey Devin, my bid's 28,000, but we have to factor in probably another 3,000. I do this on every bid. He's like, we're gonna have to factor in $3,000. So when you're going to do a flip, it's so important that you make not only that the numbers are right, but you have the right person that's able to do it. And Steve had shown me some of his other properties that he's done. He's done other flip projects in the area. And I reached out to some other people that he's worked with and they had a great experience with him. So like, perfect. I'd love to use you, Steve. And he seemed like a really good dude. So okay, we go through the process and then I was told, Steve gave me some great advice. Hey, Devin, whenever I buy property, you always want to get the plumbing looked at. So we go and get the plumbing looked at, and the plumbing's in really rough shape. It's backed up super bad. We don't know how old the pipes are. So, and one of the units, the east or the west unit of the property didn't even have like hookups. Like there was like a like a cut in the ground where the pipe wasn't even connecting to the house with the water line. So I go back to the realtor and I, hey, look, like this property needs a lot more work than we really anticipated. I'm like, I still want to move forward, but I need to buy it for less than 127,000. She's like, okay, well, what do you need to buy it for? I'm like, look, I'll move forward if we can do $120,000. And and she said, okay, I'll present it to my seller, and we'll go from there. And man, I one thing I wish I would have done different. I wish I would have gone lower. I wish I would have anchored her. I talk about anchoring a lot. Like whenever you negotiate with somebody, you always in the beginning, in most cases, want to offer less than what you know you can pay, and just so it starts the negotiating process. Because a guy I listened to, Chris Voss, he wrote an amazing book called Never Split the Difference. He talks about the negotiating doesn't start until they say no. So, but I didn't do that right on that one, which is okay. We're going to break down the numbers and everything. So the seller said, "Yep, if they still will move forward and close, we'll do the $120,000." So buy this property, which originally was listed for $230,000 on the MLS. This has been on the market for almost 400 days. They took my offer for $120,000, $110,000 less than what they were asking. So I'm like, man, this is going to be a great flip property. I was really excited about it. So, and I was looking at the opportunity of keeping it as well, but I decided to just close on it and fix it up and flip it. So people are probably wondering, well, where'd I get my money for this deal? So I actually was able to use private money on this one. My brother of all people. So my brother had some cash and wanted to be a private lender, and so I'm like, great, hey Jordan, I got this property for you. His name's Jordan, so I got this property for you. Let's do this deal together. So I offered to pay him 12% interest in one point of it up front. So I got a loan from him and I got the loan for the full amount. So I got a loan for 120,000 for the purchase and then $30,000 for the rehab. So he lent me $150,000 for this property. So I gave him $1,500 up front, and then I was going to pay him $1,500 a month until I sold the property. And yeah, so we took down the project. And one thing we had to worry about too is that we had a tenant. So the seller sent a 30-day notice to the tenant 2 weeks before we closed, but we were having some issues with the tenant. And he didn't want to leave. He didn't want to cooperate. We talked about doing eviction and all this stuff. And then I got on the phone with him and said, hey, look, man, I really want to help you out. Like, I don't want to go through an eviction. I don't want to get you kicked out of the property. So it makes it more difficult for you to find your next place because they're going to see an eviction on your record. I'm like, what can we do to help you out? It's like, I just need one more week. And I said, okay, well, look, if you can get out in the next 5 days, which was past this time, I said, I'll give you $500. And he thought about it. He's like, okay. He's like, I'll be out in 5 days. So evictions can cost thousands of dollars. So I'm like, even though he's passed, I didn't have to give this guy anything. I could just go through the eviction and make it difficult for him. But then in the process, it makes it difficult for me. So this is one of the first hurdles that we came through. The plumbing issue obviously was the other hurdle. This one was the next hurdle. And man, he actually got out in 3 days, and I gave him $500, and it all worked out. So we got the property vacant. It's ready to go. And yeah, we started getting the property fixed up. And fortunately, I didn't have to file a permit on this because we were just doing interior cosmetic work. So that saved us some cash as well. And so, yeah, so like I said, the before photos of the property, it needs a lot of work, but then it was really exciting. We go to now. So Steve did a great job on this project. He did all the best stuff. Like we painted it. He did a great job on the paint that we decided to go with. We got the windows fixed. We did a full rehab. So both of the photos, and this is our finished project. So the yard still needed some work, but that was going to be something we addressed later. So look, this is how close to the water it is. It's crazy. So here's our property. Here's the ocean. Here's the river, and then the ocean's just right over there. Really, really cool spot. Got some cool area views. And look, one thing that I learned in this business too. So I'm a big fan of working with real estate agents. I used to be a real estate agent, and I know how hard they work. Some people think that realtors don't do much, but and a lot of them don't. But the good ones do an incredible job. So I chose like my realtor on this one was Mark Nomovitz. The guy's awesome. He does a lot of transactions in the St. Lucie County. If you're ever looking for a good realtor in Martin and St. Lucie County or surrounding areas in Florida, he's your guy. So reach out to me and I'll get you his contact info. I honestly had high aspirations. I'm going to list this property for $250,000. And then me and Mark went over the numbers. He said, Devin, I really think we need to list it for around 215 to 220, which I was kind of bummed about. I'm like, oh, I'm going to hit a home run on this, but it's even at the 215, 220 range, it was still going to be good numbers. So we listed the property. Here's the pictures again. So we put in all new flooring. We kept the windows in, we fixed some of the glass. We got new cabinets. We just did a pretty basic flip, just did standard cabinets, new countertops. We just did the laminate countertops, but redid the bathrooms, the shower, new vanities, toilets. So yeah, it's for a property and the locations at for what it's priced at. I feel like we did a really good job on this project, and it was going to show well too, because look, Mark took some great photos. And look, this place is so small. These units are so small. We can even put air conditioning systems in them. So we just had to do window units because they're 480 plus square feet. It's tiny. So yeah, so we did a quick $30,000 job, got the yard cleaned up, put in a new water heater, fixed the piping, and yep, did it all with a total was $31,000. So yeah, so we were on the market. We were only on the market 8 days before we got an offer. So, and look, and this is in January of 2023. So this is when the market was pretty slow in a lot of regards. So, yeah, so I was really excited. We were on the market for just 8 days, got an offer, for 210. So $5,000. We were listed at 219.9. Got an offer for 215 actually, so $5,000 less than asking. They had good terms. They want to close quick. I was still going to make good money on this deal, so I'm like, okay, let's do it. So they had to get an appraisal done, and appraisals stink sometimes. And so the appraisal came back at 205,000. Like, dang, I was hoping to sell this thing for like 230, 240, at worst 219, and then I have to sell it for 205. So fortunately on this one, the buyer was willing to pay $5,000 above appraised value because, look, it's a small duplex. Like I said, it's not in a great area, and the values aren't very high. But he was willing to pay above appraised value, so we accepted the offer, moved forward to close for $210,000. And so let's do a number breakdown real quick. So go to the numbers. So this is the address, 603 Cedar Place in Fort Pierce, Florida. Source of the deal, I said I found on the MLS. I've only done a couple deals on the MLS, and I'm going to obviously invest more time on the MLS because most of my deals are through my off marketing, through direct mail, cold calling, my website, Google Ads, Facebook, and things like that. So like I said, we bought the property for $120,000. We did a $31,000 rehab. And look, and these are the things that a lot of other people won't tell you. Like a lot of other investors, wholesalers, people that are in the business won't tell you about these numbers. And they're just going to say, oh, look, I bought it for 120. I put 31 into it and I sold it for 210. So my profit's going to be, in that case, $59,000. So that's obviously not the case. So we got to break down the numbers. So I said $120,000. We had a $31,000 rehab. I paid my private lender, my brother in the scenario, $7,000 to for our hard money costs, and then closing costs when I this is when I bought it and sold it. So I had to pay my portion of the closing costs when I bought the property, which was around 3,300 dollars. So I tried to total it all up. So this is the total closing cost from when I bought the property and when I sold it. So it's factoring agent commissions and closing costs when I bought it. So and other fees and taxes. So the total was $17,935.50. I paid about $475 for insurance and about $450 for the utilities for the property. And then I sold the property for $210,000. So my total profit for this property that I found on the MLS was $33,139.50. So and look, and I got the HUDs here to prove it. So I always track my HUDs, my settlement statements, so when I close it to see what I'm into the property for. So you can see when I bought it, $123,233.50. So our purchase price that includes our settlement charges, and then I have those fees here. So I can show on the HUD, hey, look, I walked away with $71,795.85. But that doesn't really tell the full story. So when you get into wholesaling, when you get into flipping, like what's great about wholesaling, and I have other deal breakdowns that I'm doing on those, it's pretty set in stone. You sell a deal, you wholesale a deal for $20,000, you're going to get $20,000. But when you do flips, there's more upside on flips in most case scenarios, but you're going to have to pay fees. There's costs that are going to be accrued. And so in full transparency, I obviously did not make $71,795.85. There's those costs that I mentioned right here with the rehab, with the private money costs, with our closing costs and commissions, with the insurance, utilities, the taxes. And so that's why my total on this one in full transparency was $33,139.50. Look, there's plenty of deals out there. There's a lot of people you can talk to, particularly on the MLS. Like I've done 2 more MLS deals this year, and there's a lot of them out there. So if you invest the time in talking to agents and developing those relationships, you can find deals that you can either wholesale or that you can take down and fix and flip. And there's a lot of opportunities to be able to do that. Hope this video gave you great context on how you can be successful in your real estate and wholesaling journey. I wanted to show you a transparent deal, and I'm going to keep doing these because I want you to really see the numbers and see how this all breaks down. So I hope this gives you